Do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? That's a question that you've answered consciously or unconsciously several times for yourself in a lot of areas in your life. If you're a man with a busy career or your own business and you want to find the right girlfriend, life partner or wife, you have to make a fundamental decision in life as to whether you want to be right or happy, as to whether you want to cling on to your ego, your excuses, thinking that you already know everything there is to know about dating and relationships because you've gathered some experience, no matter how small or how unsatisfying the experiences were, and that you don't need to venture out there, or that you want to be happy and actually learn a couple of new things. In this video, I want to offer you a couple of very important mindsets that you already know, that you've already established very successfully in your career, in your business, maybe in your health, maybe in your fitness, maybe in relationships with people in general, that will help you find an amazing girlfriend, life partner, or wife. We as men, especially if we're driven and ambitious men, we have quite a bit of an ego, don't we? Especially if we've succeeded in a certain area in our life, be that martial arts. I remember when I first started making progress in karate back in the day, my confidence revolved around that. Then it was my career. And the more we succeed in certain areas, the more we learn that we are capable of succeeding. And if we learn at a meta level that we're capable of succeeding, that we're doing things right, then we close our mind a little bit to new ideas and we ignore the fact that new ideas were the things that got us there in the first place. Any success you've gathered, be that in your career or your business, was because you were exposed to new ideas. If you keep doing the things you've always done, you're going to keep getting the results you've always gotten. Input equals output. If you keep going the way you've been going in your dating and your relationship life, with the same mindset, with the same communication, with the same lack of understanding of how we as men and women relate to each other, you will keep getting the exact same results. And I really want you to have an amazing woman by your side. Because make no mistake about it, science is utterly clear that the number one source for happiness in life is, one, relationships in general, as well as having an amazing woman by your side who's first going to be your lover and then your friend. So there's so many ideas in terms of dating and relationships out there that you should actually close your mind to. Because a lot of people in your social circle, friends, family members, maybe ex-girlfriends, maybe your cousin, maybe your uncle. So many people are going to try to give you advice, but their advice may not be appropriate. Remember what Tony Robbins said, the story he told about Jim Rome, which he told him when he was first his mentor back in the day. What happens when your worst enemy puts a little bit of sugar in your coffee? You have sweet coffee. What happens if your best friend, by accident, drops a little bit of strychnine in your coffee? Well, you drink it and you're dead immediately. Now, you might say, well, my friend John, he gave me advice. He says, I live in New York, I live in Miami, and the women in Miami are like this. Dating apps are like this. New York is like this. Women only want men with money. Women don't care about money at all. They've given you some type of advice, some type of limiting advice that comes from a very, very, very caring place. But let me ask you something. If your knee was broken, would you let your friend John perform knee surgery on you? No. Why not? I mean, after all, he has 2 knees, doesn't he? John's had a couple of relationships. John's had a couple of girlfriends. Maybe he's your one friend who's really good with women. Well, if he's not a knee surgeon, he isn't specialized in it, and if he were to perform knee surgery on you, you might never walk again. And most people who are giving you advice on dating and relationships are utterly unqualified. I know more than fitness, health, and nutrition than 90% out there. That's true, because I've been in this personal development space for a really long time. When I spend time with some of my friends who are fitness instructors, health coaches, nutrition coaches, I realize I'm at the bottom of the barrel. I've only scratched the surface, which is amazing, because then I can learn new strategies regarding weight loss, regarding supplementation, regarding protein synthesis, And it's interesting to understand that there's levels to the game. Maybe, let's take an example. Let's say you're a 35-year-old business owner, or you're a software engineer. Typical clients of mine were very intelligent, a little bit nerdy, introverted, very nice kind of guys, and you haven't gotten that much experience with women. Not to say that you're a virgin, maybe you are, but you just haven't gotten that much experience because you find it difficult to get dates, and if you do get dates, you end up in the friend zone, because on online dating apps, most of the time, you're either not getting matches or the conversations die out. And in real life, you have this fear and you don't know how to approach women, and you also don't want to spend too much time in bars or clubs. What do you do in this position? If you want to get to a point where you want to have an amazing girlfriend, life partner, or wife, you will have to change how you view yourself. You'll have to change how you communicate. There's a lot of new ideas you'll have to expose yourself to be able to master this area in your life. But now you're confused because there's so much seemingly contradicting information out there. There's the mainstream that tells you, just be yourself, just be nice. And just be yourself is the most amazing piece of advice. But it's the same thing as me telling you, just be rich. And you say, yeah, I agree, being rich is amazing, but how? It's absolutely not practical. It's Instagram, McDonald's personal development content. You know these people who post Instagram inspirational memes and they live in their mom's basement? And I'm not making fun of these people, because everybody who gets into personal development in the beginning, they start posting inspirational stuff and they think they're trying to inspire other people, whereas they're actually trying to inspire themselves. And if it's the first part of their journey, it's fine. But it's really the beginning of the journey, because making a post on Instagram is really only going to get you so far. So let's say you're doing that. But in order to do that, you, one, have to trust the source where the information is coming from, and then you always want to evaluate it critically. Is the person who's giving me advice, in this case a ginger, standing in front of the Dublin skyline, if you want to call it a skyline. New York has a skyline. Dublin doesn't really have a skyline, but that's the Dublin skyline. Does this person have the credentials? In my case, I've helped clients from 29 different countries, from all around the world. Men very much like yourselves, with busy careers, successful business owners, find an amazing girlfriend, life partner, or wife, or create an amazing social life in general. So one, you want to evaluate the credibility of the source. And second of all, you also have to understand, is the advice that's coming right now tailored to my situation? Because as I was saying earlier, if you're somebody who has very little experience, let's say 35 years old, right, quite in your head, you don't have a lot of experience because you're not getting a lot of dates, then what you need to work on is different to somebody maybe the same age who's had plenty of experience, but you're just not meeting the right type of women. Or your challenge may be that women lose interest in you after the second or third date. Or maybe your challenge is, well, I can be confident if I'm around women that I'm not that interested in, but if I see somebody that I really like, that I can really picture myself with for the long term, well, then I get flustered. So you have to be able to evaluate which pieces of advice are suitable for me at which point in my journey. Because remember how I said there's levels to the game? In Germany, and I'm a bad German to the extent that I don't care too much about football, but when it comes to football, you can play at the little village level. Every little village has their own club, then every city has their own club, then every county or state, so to speak, then Germany obviously has a football team, then there's European Champions League, then there's the World Champions League, right? There's so many different levels, and maybe currently you're playing at a village or a city level, or wow, maybe you're playing at a state level. But let me tell you something, there's a big difference between playing at a county level or a state level and playing at the World Championships. In other words, being able to meet women wherever you are, being unapologetic, shameless, still respectful and kind, but having the utter knowledge, the knowing that no matter what comes out of her mouth, nothing can throw you off your game. And that is different. Most people, your friend John who's giving you advice, right? The guy who's not supposed to perform knee surgery on you, most people don't have that because it is a skill set. Could everybody have that? Yes. Let me tell you something. Most men lie about two things. One, they lie about the fact that they think they can fight. And second, they lie about the fact that they've been with X amount of women or a certain quality of women, right? I was talking to Dubai Eye Radio around a year ago, and I was talking to the lady exactly about that point. Most men think they're good at two things. One, they think they're good at fighting. Two, they think they're good at talking to women. And they're really not, right? And I'm not a professional fighter either. I'm not pretending that I am. Never fought in Bellator. Will never fight in Bellator or the UFC. But I did train a mixture of karate and kickboxing for 5 to 6 years, 3 to 7 times a week on average. So I have a very decent understanding, and I know that if you hand the average man a pair of boxing gloves, well, they're going to look pretty bad. But it is just a skill set. It's the difference between would versus could. Could every man develop the ability to start a conversation with a woman anywhere, in a Starbucks, in a shopping mall, be that at a business event, never people you work with, but in any situation, could every man develop that skill set? Absolutely. But would they? No. The number one differentiator between men who end up in amazing relationships with women that desire them, that are really loyal, that don't need to have a lot of male friends or some bullshit like that. And again, I'm not here to say that women can't have male friends. It's just the context matters, okay? Let's put it that way. The context matters. If you want to be able to find someone like that, you got to develop that skill set. Most men could, but would they? No. The number one differentiator between people who have that and people who don't is the fact that they take action and they're open-minded and they value their own happiness more than being right. As I said in the beginning, as you advance in your life, as you've gathered a lot of successes, you've grown a lot more confident. And becoming confident also means you cut out a lot of the wrong thinking. And you understand, what I've been doing works, so I should continue doing what I'm doing. But just because what you've been doing, your communication perhaps even included in business works, in your career works, that does not mean that it works in dating. Because if you knew how to do it, you would have already done that. We need new input. You can use free resources out there, right? You can apply for a free initial consultation call. You can hire a coach. Absolutely, I would recommend you to do that. Again, apply for a free initial consultation call right now. We're going to take a look at your individual situation to figure out what your blind spots are. But regardless of whether you do it with me, regardless of whether you do it by yourself, you have to commit yourself to doing it, and you have to value being happy more than being right. Tom Bilyeu, founder of Quest Nutrition, a company that is, or at least was, valued at $1 billion, always says that he identifies himself as being the learner. If we attach our ego, our identity in other words, to being the person who knows, I already know how to talk to women. I already know how to get a number. If you knew, you would do it. Oh, I could go and say hi to her. Do it then. Do it right now. Go and approach a woman without being on cocaine, without being on alcohol, in any given situation. Why can't you? Because you haven't developed the skill set. It's not your fault because you haven't learned it, and I was the worst at it as well. But if you keep identifying as the knower, you'll never be able to take the steps necessary to put yourself in a position to acquire the skill set that you'll need in order to advance confidently in the direction of your own dreams. So what I would invite you to do here on this beautiful evening in Dublin is to start attaching your identity to being the learner. And again, you're already doing that. What I told you in the beginning still holds true. I'm simply reminding you of certain principles, certain mindsets you've already established in other areas in your life. But if you want similarly amazing results in your dating or relationship life, you have to open your mind again to the fact that you don't already know enough. And that is fine. I have blind spots. We all have blind spots. We all have unconscious incompetencies. Things we don't know that we don't even know. About the most minute details of an interaction with a woman. Details when it comes to texting, online dating, on the date. What do I do 4 weeks in if I'm not fully sure if I want to be in a relationship with her yet? But I can't imagine myself that, but she wants exclusivity. How do I handle that? There's mindsets, there's strategies. For me, everything is based on respect and kindness. My mother primarily raised me, my father as well, but my father was very busy working, so my mother had a huge impact on me, and she instilled me with a lot of feminine energy. I do have a lot of feminine energy. That's why I tended to always be the nice guy, so I had to establish a lot of that masculinity later on, but since she did that, I do value kindness. I do value respect. That's what every relationship is based on. True connection. Vulnerability not in a weak way, but in a powerful and strong and open way. But at the same time, there's dynamics of how we as human beings relate to each other that are not politically correct. So, if you want to be right as opposed to happy, if being happy and having a family, having somebody to share your life with is more important to you than simply being right and holding on to your ego, because you can only have either. You can either have your excuses or you can have results. If you want to have results, if you want to have happiness, apply for a free initial consultation call, and I'd be happy to speak with you in person. Regardless, Or if you want to go try to do it by yourself, you can. It might take you 7 or 9 years. You can do it, but it might genuinely take you 7 or 9 years and another divorce or your first divorce. It might take a very long time. You can absolutely do it. Nobody needs a coach. You don't need one. But if you want to shortcut the process by 5, 10, 15 years, apply for a free initial consultation call. Looking forward to speaking with you very soon. I wish you all the best.